Thanks, guys. So as I said, I am a middle school counselor. I worked with elementary schoolers for years, and then now I've been in the middle school for the last 2 years, and I love middle schoolers. I know it's a hard age, and I have a middle schooler, so I know it's a hard age. So I'm also a parent of a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 16-year-old. So I have one at every level. I know the struggles with this firsthand. And this says the middle school child, and that's the one part I didn't change from before. I think this really applies to any of our kids as they get into some of these things, because I know my daughter will be like, everybody has a cell phone. 4th grade, everybody does. And she's telling me about her kindergarten friend who has a cell phone and all these things. And they all get them. So we want to see, how can we be smart about it, and how as parents can we be educated about what's out there? Because sometimes they know more than we do. Maybe most times, right? It changes so fast. So we just want to be in this together. Who knows what all of these things are? Anybody want to take a guess? This one's easy for me. Instagram. Facebook. Do you think our kids are on that? No.
Tumblr.
Tumblr. Oh. Yeah, this is smart. YouTube. We have a lot of things on there. We have students who get a lot of access with YouTube. I have students right now with their own YouTube channels. And I think parents don't realize that when you put that out there, who sees that? Everybody. People have privacy, or you think there's privacy, but really everybody sees that. I had a student who was putting tours of her house on there. And we had to have a really hard conversation about, maybe the parents didn't even realize what she was doing on there, or things like that. And it's innocent enough, but you and I can think of the dangers of what can be with that. You know what that is? House party is what it's called. You can imagine, back in the day when we had chat rooms. This is like a visual chat room where anybody can join randomly in. You can imagine what that would be like if our kids are in there. And who might be there? TikTok, yes. It used to be Musical.ly, now it's TikTok. A lot of people think, who knows what that's for? Short videos. What many parents don't realize is they think, my kid's just doing little music videos and things like that. Anybody can comment, anybody can see. So sometimes you can imagine the comments from behind a computer screen are not the nicest. It can be really hateful. I've had students with people saying really hateful things like, you should just die, why are you here? Real things that at a certain age kids actually take in, even though we can rationalize, we don't even know that person, why do you care? They care at this age when they're developing who they are and their identity. The other part is people can post anything, it's not really restricted. So I've had students post and find posts about cutting and suicidal ideation and scary things on there, not to mention porn and all kinds of other things. Not to freak you out, it's a little bit of a downer, but we gotta be real, right? This one, Whisper is what it's called, where anybody can post secrets that they feel like they want to share. You can imagine where that goes. If it's secretive, it's anonymous, people share. Snapchat. I know. The scariest parts of Snapchat and Instagram are those private messages. And with Snapchat, there's the whole idea, let's delete them. It goes away. We all know. No, guys. And when it's screenshotted, and I have a student in my office crying because the picture she sent that boy was actually sent when he was at a sleepover, and then he showed all the other boys. And then it's out there, and yeah, we know Twitter. They don't really do that either, too much. Kick?
Worst of all.
About Kick?
Worst of all.
The FBI guy would tell you that when he came
Worst
in.
of all.
Yeah. It's a very private chatting site, and people can talk about anything.
It's awful cute.
Yeah. I've had students even at other schools that sometimes it can be a prime site for human trafficking and things like that. Which sounds like a far off thought, like human trafficking, that happens someplace else. Not really, it can happen just with a student feeling down, as many elementary, middle school, high schoolers feel, right? They're adolescents, they have bad days. They're not thinking rationally completely yet. And if they reach out to somebody and they make them feel good, that can become something really scary. So as scary as that is, we have to think, what do we do about it? We're going to talk about what the research says. I'm going to share with you what we see every day too, because it comes up more than you realize, and I'm finding it comes up almost every day. who these apps were created for, and how do you make decisions to protect your child. So we're going to go over that together. This is a little quiz for you. So the average teen spends 9 hours on social media a
Day.
Yes. A lot of people were shocked by this. That blows my mind because if you think about at school, we have strict rules about, no cell phones at school. Now we know they figure stuff out, right? They're smart. Or sneaky, whatever you want to call it. But at home, that's a big part. So if your child's on it all the time, that can be a problem. The legal age to have a social media account is
13.
13.
Is that 18?
No, it's 13. Yeah, it's 13. But kids will check it, or parents will say, well, I monitor it, so it's okay. Some of the ones, I think like House Party and some of those that I showed you are supposed to be certain things. The average age a child receives a phone is?
10.
You cheated, you saw this.
I actually knew it before.
10, but I think we can all say it's younger for some families. But the average age is 10. Bill Gates, who I use him because he is a technology guru, he said he recommends a child does not receive a smartphone until age
14.
He said 14. In my household, it was more along the lines of high school and getting into that stage. In which my middle schooler hates because he's the only one without a cell phone. Anybody know? Can I tell him he's not the only one?
I didn't have one in class.
I know, I didn't either, but it's different now.
My kids won't get them until we get a job.
Yes,
That's
I'm going to tell them
You get a job,
that.
you get a car, you get a phone.
Thank
It's
you.
going to be the jitterbug. I'm going to be the devil child.
There you go.
The jitterbug phone.
There you go. I'm going to tell you.
I didn't have one until I was an adult.
There you go. I'm going to tell my son. This is a really great website, and I'm going to send this out to you guys. And I can't even replicate this. I'm just going to show it to you because it really gives you a lot of information about balance as parents. Like, how can it hurt my child? At what age should I allow social media? It talks about the legal age, and they talk about how your brain doesn't fully develop until age 25. That's that frontal lobe that gives you impulse control and decision-making skills. So without that, they just do it out there, put it out there, they don't think it through. We're not saying they have to wait till 25 because that's not realistic. But we want to teach them how to do it in healthy ways and also not set them up for failure too young of an age. So a lot of these, do we need to monitor it? I think no. We do need to monitor these things when they have it. I like this part because it talks about what it does with the brain. We're going to talk more about what it can cause within our students, but I see this a lot to the point that I see kids, you hear about oxytocin and dopamine, these kinds of things. Same chemicals with drug use and addiction and some of those that we worry about for our kids, but this can have the same effect on the brain and the body as some of those things. So it can be really detrimental if it's done in the wrong way. I will also tell you some kids, I've even had this happen in Schoology groups, where we encourage them to be on there, right? Some kids get obsessive about posting on there and getting likes from other people. And we'll talk about that a little bit as we go. We talk about how they use it, and we're going to go over this. This is actually on another site, like positive ways to use it, and knowing if your child is using it correctly. But 53% of children go online with parental supervision. That's scary to me. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. One of the things I did want to draw your attention to, as you can see, there's a lot of things on here. And so I encourage you to look through this more in depth. But 82% of online sex crimes against minors started with the perpetrator using the victim's social networking site to gain information. And that's not always physically, like, I have students say, I know that if I'm on this game and they ask me about this, I'm not supposed to tell them about my personal information or where I live. But that's a good thing to teach your kids. They can find it other ways, though, and they can find it from pictures and tags on the pictures, and certainly other things they talk about. And there's ways around it, and they're innocent. I actually learned about a new one that this reminded me of. Are you guys familiar with Roblox? She's not convinced. Yeah. It's a game that the kids are playing, even in elementary school. I actually learned about this in a different kind of group with fifth graders, and they were obsessed about it, and they were talking about it. This round bullying happens on Roblox, and kids talk to each other, and they play. And so I thought this was just a game before we really talked about it. I thought it was just a fun game. But it is, there's social networking going on. Anybody hear of Fortnite?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know what the premise of Fortnite is? Anybody know?
It's a battle royale.
It's like you join in, there's other people that are your friends, real people, coming to the game together. So it's kind of social networking, and you may not even realize it. All these games that they're playing now have a social component, with other people connecting, and it can be anybody connecting, and they can talk to each other and say things. But the goal is to kill the other people before they kill you. And in my mind, I'm kind of like, it's one thing if it's an abstract concept that I still don't love, like you're killing people in a game, but it's another thing when you're killing like your friend that sits by you in class. You know? So that's my friend, and I just beat you. But, you know, that's where we are kind of distorting their views of, you know, then they get in trouble the next day for saying, oh, I'm going to kill you. I want to bring up this one that's a little scary. Children with smartphones are 100% more likely to find those without one. That's scary when you think about it. And it's not on purpose. I've actually, believe it or not, counseled, especially even when I was an elementary counselor, little girls who developed a porn addiction from innocently something popping up, and then it does things in your brain, especially before you're fully developed in your brain. And your brain responds to it. And so then it's like, well, I'm curious, I want to see that again. I want to see that again. Literally counseling second, third, fourth grade girls and boys, you know, on this addiction that happens before we know it. And because it's, you know, they know it's wrong, it just happened, you know, they don't say anything because they don't want to get in trouble. That's where you can have that open dialogue to say, hey, sometimes things might pop up on there that I know you and I, your dad and I, or grandma and I aren't okay with. You can come tell me. It's not your fault if it pops up. You need to tell me when those things happen. Because as much as we put safeguards and blocks on there, those hackers and people who create these things aren't trying to keep our kids safe. Like, they're finding ways around it. But creating that open dialogue to say, you're not going to be in trouble if you bring this to me. If you hide something from me, that's a different story. But if you bring this to me, we can have a conversation. You want to have that open dialogue. I talk to more and more middle school students who want to talk to their parents, who want to have these conversations about hard things, but they're like, I'll just get in trouble if I try to bring this up. You would rather them come to me, even when it's the hard stuff, that inside you're like, oh, what did they just ask me? You want to have that conversation, and you want them to come to you. So it all goes along with this. And of course, it goes into sexting, and then it gradually happens, and that's where the trafficking begins. I told you it would be really lighthearted and positive. So a lot of kids, you know, we talked about the lack of impulse control, and they can't regulate the content that they post. So we really need to be supervising. The FBI guy talked about having their passwords, knowing who their friends are, going through the list and say, who is this person and how did you meet them? I have kids who really will say, Ms. Brown, I know I didn't meet them in real life, but my mom said it was okay and we talked it through. It's okay. They live in the UK and blah, blah, blah. Like, when you're intimate and talking about intimate things with somebody that you've never met in person, like, that's scary. And it's fake intimacy. It's not true friendship and true social interaction. So they get that payoff without a real friendship. So we see a lot of use of that. Of course, we know that excessive use, this is what I see. I see a lot of anxiety with kids. Anybody have think in your head, you don't have to share. Anybody have an anxious child and think about when they've been on their phone a lot or been on the computer a lot. It can increase that. I've had many a meeting, we do student success meetings at the middle school, and many a meeting where parents will say, oh my gosh, the second he started playing Fortnite, the grades went down, and I noticed that he's withdrawing, he's hanging out in his room, all of those things. So be aware of that. It's real. It causes that anxiety. And I think, any guesses on the reason, especially for that anxiety piece with social media? There can be addiction, even without the addiction, though. Any reason for why?
Just wanting to impress.
Wanting to impress. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I have kids who fixate on how many followers do I have and how many likes do I have. And I have one student, so powerful, in an anxiety group say, that's not real, right? Like you're getting a fake payoff every time they say like, because they're not really liking you. They don't even know you. And I'm like, can I just put you in front of people? As a sixth grader, it was very profound. We should have conversations at home about this because that's not a natural inclination for a sixth grader to have that self-talk. But they learn it from us. When we have those conversations, that's not real, right? Like when your friend gives you a high five on the field, that's not the same as somebody putting a like. But it becomes that they want that payoff. So when I don't get it, the anxiety happens. Or did somebody like that post? Like nobody's liking it quick enough. Was it not good? Am I not good? It starts that internal dialogue. And adults have it too. I know we all have those friends that it's like, okay, you post too much, you're getting too much payoff from this. Depression, ADHD, suicidal ideation and action. Again, that network can get emptiness sometimes. And if they're not feeling accepted in the world, they go to their own world and find acceptance, and sometimes it's not safe. Addiction, impulse disorder, all kinds of issues. Sleep issues is a huge one, especially if they're doing it all night. So, if my child has social media, what should I be looking for to see if it's healthy? You don't want to see that they're always on there. They rarely have an active presence. It's just kind of something in the periphery as an extra part of them. If they're obsessed and always on it, something's not healthy right here. They post few photos and make few comments. It's not obsessive, as we said. They can do their homework and other activities without checking in on social media. If you're having a family night and they're constantly on their phone, some of that's normal, kids, at this age, but if it's too much and they can't enjoy normal activities, it's not healthy. So you want to see that they can withdraw. They're very active in different friend groups and have a lot of face-to-face connections. If all of your child's friends are online, that's a problem. You want to see that they have those real interactions too, and they're texting people they're really friends with. Maintaining strong personal relationships with family members. They really gossip and is aware of the drama that's associated with social media. And I would add that they talk to you about it. Like when they see the drama going on social media, or talk to somebody in a healthy way about it. And they don't feel that pressure to fit in. Now, I don't know many at this age that don't feel that pressure at all. So in a healthy way, they're not a different person online than in person. So if you're looking at your child's thing and you're like, yeah, that's not you. You just did that to get a like, or you just did that to get that person to notice you and all your friends are doing that. That's a problem in a conversation to be had. We want them to be their true selves, which we all want to look better on the So, what if I think they're ready? Let's be real. Some of us, it's a necessity for safety. I know a lot of parents who their kids are home alone or something like that. We don't have house phones anymore. Although I'm considering getting one, I'm not going to lie. I think it's important to delay access, as you said, as long as you can. But if they need it for safety, follow all of their accounts. You create family accounts. Some people do that. I like this one. Social media is only allowed on the big screens, so it's not allowed on their phone. There's a lot of ways to block other apps on their phone, but if it's on a family computer in the living room, it's less likely to be sketchy and things that they're looking at that are inappropriate. Certainly not in their room with the door closed, would be my recommendation. Plan face-to-face time with friends to encourage those relationships and non-tech time as a family. This can be hard for us as parents. I have been called out before on a Friday night when I'm like, I'm zoned out, I'm tired at the end of the day, and I'm on my phone. And my daughter's like, Mom, hello, like we're watching a movie. We can be at fault too. So we want to be those healthy models to put it down for them. Especially if all the people most important to us are right there with us, so we can do that. Have technology live in your room at night. I can't say this enough. Many parents are like, I trust my kid. They're good kids, and they really are. Like, I agree, they're really great kids. But it only takes that one thing. Like I said, I've counseled really great kids who developed addictions to unhealthy things because they saw the wrong thing, not even on purpose. I had a teacher tell me when she saw this presentation, she's like, you can share that an 8th grade teacher, really smart, educated woman, was on something and something else popped up as an ad. like that she's like, it just comes up. She was on like, I don't know, some clothing site or whatever, looking for clothes, and something else popped up. And she's like, it can happen to me. I know it can happen to them, so you want to be really careful. So, cell phone contracts. Anybody ever done this before or heard of that? No. Some people say that this is really great, and I have some sample contracts that people have done. Like, if you have this, you agree to X, Y, Z. You can open this up. But some people also say that at this age, you never really hold to all these things. So then if they break it, or they hide it, and then it creates this whole dynamic, I think there's a lot of value in that, and there's a lot of value in being clear about your expectations about what this looks like and how you're going to check. My 16-year-old knows I'm going to still look at his phone. We still check his texts. And if I think, there's anybody hiding anything, but if there's any hiding, like I could look at my bill and say, wait, you had this many texts, I don't see this many. Because they're smart, they can delete things.
You can get a slide called Teen Safe.
Yep, that's on.
And Teen Safe, if you don't know what it is, all of their social media is on this site on your computer. And even if they delete it off their phone, it still shows up on Teen Safe. And you read everything they post on. If they have a Facebook page, they got 17 months, so she has a Facebook page. But Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, text messages, no matter what they delete, you see everything.
Yeah.
Teen Safe.
It's going to be on here. I have it linked in, actually. That's a good one.
And get it. It's the best $7 a month you'll ever spend.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And mine knows not to delete because I'm like, why lie? Because I can see it. She doesn't delete a thing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay, that's a good thing. And the rule in my house is kind of this, like, well, search the information you would openly share with me. If you have a question about anything, ask a person, preferably me or your father. Like, you are not accountable for what might just happen, what somebody might send you. Because friends send crazy things. But you are accountable if you don't share that with me. So you won't be in trouble because it's not your fault. You can't control what somebody else sends you. But you would be in trouble if you hide it. So these are just some sample things. I would actually make this more of a conversation than a contract. Because contracts are kind of like, if you break it, what do you do next? And you can take it away, it is yours. It is not theirs, it is yours. But that whole idea of, let's make it an open dialogue where it's not like a gotcha. It's not like I'm catching you in this. You're teaching them healthy ways. So when bad things happen, as they will, or hard things happen, they're learning more from the conversation we're having of how to handle this in a healthy, appropriate way. So when that girl spouts off and says those terrible things to them and tears them down, then you'd much rather have that conversation of how to handle that appropriately. Being a good model. Like I said, we have to do it too. I love this. Mr. Rogers doesn't love him. Attitudes are caught, not taught. The way we view things, the way we operate, they're going to model after us. So if we're posting all the time, I've literally had instances where the parent's concerned about the child's use, but then I have friends who are friends with this parent online, and they're posting crazy stuff and too much online. They learn that from us. And whether or not we think they see it all. They know it all, right? They just soak it all up. I had a student's parent share with Miss Kate and I, they're basically mirrors. We've heard sponges, but they really are mirrors. They reflect what they see in us. And we want them to reflect something positive. And we want to model out loud how we're using these things. Sometimes I'll say, oh my gosh, this person, they just shared too much online. That's not something that you share. You should call a friend for that information. We could say that out loud so they hear us saying that. And I can model healthy use on there. So, monitoring is exhausting. We need help. So, Teen Safe, yes, is a good one. I'm glad you shared that. These are just from a list, and I have this linked in a website with all kinds that you can have. And it will show you what they're texting, what they're saying, where they are, what they're doing, how often they're using their phone. You can put limits on how often that is. There's a lot of controls that you can set up on your kids' phones, and lots of ways to track. Any other that you guys have used?
For your driving team, Life 360 is great because you can follow them everywhere they go. It tells you the speeds they go. My husband too.
Teaching my son to drive has made well, I have a little bit of a lead foot. I learned how to drive in South Florida. You had to have it there. I'm going to justify it. But when I'm teaching my son to drive, you know our roads. Everybody speeds a little on our roads. He's like, Mom, that's faster than the speed limit. You're right. Even though I'm like, do as I say, not as I do. But we do have to do that model because they pick it up and they will call you out.
Just to touch on what's presently going on here at YPA, as far as the increase in technology that teachers themselves are using in class, especially YouTube. And my son's like, Mommy, I have to go on YouTube and look at this. I said, okay, we'll go upstairs to the desktop computer. Well, can I have the app? Can I have that app on your iPad?
And I understand that as a parent. Like, I work here, we talk about Schoology and being so connected, but it's a double-edged sword. And as a parent, I'm kind of like, I hate that they're so connected. But we have Patriot Period at the end of the day as the goal of, if there's computer work, and this is in the middle school, do it then. Because some people don't have computers or some parents don't want that use. They really don't have that much homework. Like, they'll make it sound that way. But I have a very average 6th grader. Like, he can get it done during that time. So sometimes he has stuff. He definitely does. But for the most part, they can get it done during that time. So you might be able to say that. But the other part for you guys to know, our content keeper is better than any in any district that I've seen. And I worked in CMS, and then I know my kids, I have one son in Rock Hill schools. It's better than anything I've seen, and we get everything. Like, it can be like, it will come up that it was inappropriate because they shouldn't be doing that for whatever reason. I get things about safety, like suicide or things like that. So feel assured they are really doing everything we can to lock that down while they're in our care. And just so you know, even if they type it jokingly and delete it in the search bar, it comes to us. Because there's so much new stuff all the time. But that's why we have apps and things like that, but we can't just tap out. Because stuff will happen before you know it. Yeah, thank you.
I think one of the new things I've heard, I haven't tried it yet, but Apple, I think, has actually put out, there's some updates where you can actually black out their phones and stuff for certain times and stuff. So you can set it up to where, like, you can black it out.
William does that.
I was about to say to where
And
your husband told us.
Teen Safe, can't you also say, like, you're done, or there's a Disney 360 now, or Disney something, that my sister-in-law has, and she said, even if kids come to my house for a sleepover and I don't agree with what the apps are, I can shut down all apps and Wi-Fi from my phone. It's coming over too.
Xbox and PlayStation and those types of things, you also have to be, they have really good parental controls that you have to go in and set up ahead of time to set up family accounts as well, the same as you do on phone. Because Xbox, and a lot of kids have this in their rooms, it has unlimited internet access. So like an Xbox is just like
Or Fire Sticks, I know kids with
you know what I
those
mean?
things
It's
in
a
their room.
computer in your kid's room. And so like for me, and I get an email from Xbox and from PlayStation because we have both in our house every week that tells me every site that the kids went on, how many minutes they were on it, if they tried to access any sites I blocked. Like, it sends me everything, how many minutes they played Fortnite, how many minutes they played this.
So what time do you come to my house to sit?
Yeah. But it did take me a while, but it was well worth it because a lot of people think about the computers and they think about the smartphones, but they forget that an Xbox or a PlayStation or any kind of video game console is pretty much just an unlimited internet access to your child.
You're right. Thank you for sharing that. But we're all in this together. We can help each other out. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you want to continue this conversation with anybody. And thank you guys so much for coming today. You're being such an awesome audience.